Hi, it's Tim Baisley from 4Player Productions with my top 5 games of 2016. Once again, we all have limited time and resources, so there's a bunch of games I didn't get a chance to play this year. All the games on this list I have either played through or played a significant amount of. Re-releases or ports from earlier years won't be included. With that out of the way, let's head right on to number 5. Okay, I know there's gonna be few people blowing a fuse by me having the audacity to even have this game on the list, so let me mention one thing right here at the start. This game was a major disappointment and a huge mess. There's so much negative shit tied to this game. The single player content on launch was extremely bare bones, the way they decided to update this game, then there's the whole Capcom Pro Tour DLC debacle. To put it simply, Capcom screwed up. With all that having been said, beneath all this lies a really fun fighting game. Now, don't get me wrong, when I said this game was disappointing, that's not the same as saying it's bad. What initially got me excited for this game was the cast of characters they had chosen. They brought back some of my favorite characters in the series, introduced a few new cool ones, and a few not so cool ones. They have a pretty good variety of different types of fighters, and there's more fighters to come in Season 2, one of them being the long-awaited Akuma. A lot of people say that the amount of characters in this game is unacceptable, but I was never really bothered by it, especially since we knew from the get-go who were gonna be in this game and the rest were gonna be delivered to us via piecemeal as DLC. You can spend fight money to earn said DLC characters, as well as stages, costumes, colors, titles, profiles and so on. And when it comes to the fight money concept, I'd rather have that instead of buying Super Street Fighter 5 next year. And speaking of fight money, just don't waste your fight money, okay? You might think, let's buy some costumes and stuff. You only live once, right? Spend, spend, spend! But think the future. Buying these characters and stages isn't cheap. What if a character you really like comes along and you can't afford it? What then? Please, take this advice to heart. It's gonna come up later in life. Be responsible with your fight money. You can earn fight money by simply playing online or playing some of the single player modes, such as the character stories, which the fight money is pretty much the only incentive you're gonna have to play through these. The structure of these is just horrible. It's 2 to 4 one-round matches accompanied by some pretty horrendous artwork. The cinematic story mode A Shadow Falls, included in the July update, wasn't much better. If there's one thing this game didn't need, it's a story mode. Survival mode will also give you a fair amount of fight money as well as some character colors. That is, if you can get through it. Survival mode has 4 difficulty levels that go from the AI being completely brain dead to destroying you in a matter of seconds. In order to succeed, you have to rely on supplements that can be bought at the end of each round, but since those are random, you might get an unlucky selection of supplements and have that be your demise. There's also some trials to mess around with, but I think to a lot of people the main thing is going to be the online play. I was happy to see that this game got the PS4 and PC crossplay treatment, and I'm surprised that more fighting games aren't doing it. Sure, it's a challenge to get that working, but if there's one game genre where having this makes sense, it's fighting games. I've had a ton of fun playing against people online, and the game has been running really smoothly after the initial release problems. The V system is an interesting new add-on to the series, however, some of the characters' V skills are really uninspired, and I wish they would do something about that going into the future with this game. And I know I sound pretty negative when I talk about this game, but I've really been enjoying it. I mean, sure the story mode was absolute balls. Sure the survival mode is broken as shit. Sure the update schedules were all over the place. Sure the single player content was extremely weak, but that's not the reason why I play these games. It's not about the story or playing against the AI. It's about taking on the path of a fighter, facing otherworld warriors in the heat of the battle. It's about stepping into the ring of destiny, standing up in the face of adversity, and emerging victorious!
No way, the server's down?
Considering all the problems surrounding this game, I can't place this any higher on this list with a clean conscience. Capcom is a pretty garbage company for the most part these days, but this is a case where I love the book, but hate the author.
Life is simply unfair, don't you think? There are moments when a single snail can make a world go extinct.
The last episode in the Zero Escape series is finally out. Set between the events of 9 Hours, 9 Persons, 9 Doors and Virtue/Reward, Zero Time Dilemma acts as the final piece in tying up the series. 9 people find themselves trapped in a bomb shelter in the middle of Nevada desert. Neatly separated into groups of 3 people, they are forced to play the decision game. The rules of the game are simple. At least 6 out of the 9 people must die. For every dead person, an axe pass will be revealed. With 6 axe passes, a door marked with an axe can be opened, granting the surviving members their freedom. However, were the participants to disobey the rules of the game, they'll be executed. As the name Decision Game implies, decisions play an integral part in the game. With other people's lives on the line, you are forced to make choices between your freedom, the lives of others, as well as your own. Just like with the previous 2 games, the 9 people have bracelets attached to their left arm. Every 90 minutes, it administers an anesthetic and a memory wiping agent, causing everyone to fall into a deep sleep and forget everything that occurred in those past 90 minutes. Whether it be answers regarding the true identity of the mysterious Zero running the show, or a regretful decision they've made. This gives the story a somewhat Memento-like feel. Player gets to choose fragments of the story to play and piece together the timeline of events. The game is largely about watching cutscenes and reading text, with escape the room type of puzzle sections spread between the 2. These portions have a pretty good balance of being challenging but not frustrating. There's very few parts where I found the puzzle solutions to be somewhat convoluted. Completing these puzzle rooms leads to what I found to be some of the best moments in the game, being faced with nerve-wracking decisions. The tension in these moments is real. You have no idea what the outcome will be. The decisions you make might lead to the death of others or yourself. Or, then again, it just might be a trick. You never know. But if you make the wrong call, it could have horrific consequences. This is reflected in Zero Time Dilemma's more violent and darker tone. The previous 2 games had those same elements in them as well, but not to this level. Something the game has retained from the previous titles is the smart writing and the multiple endings that encourage replaying the game. Between all the blood spilling, the characters have in-depth conversations about philosophy, ethical paradoxes, as well as thought experiments such as Schrödinger's cat, Prisoner's Dilemma, Chinese Room, etc. These games have some really good and captivating writing in them. With that having been said, there are moments where the story goes absolutely bonkers, but having played through the previous 2 games, I'd say that is to be expected. Speaking of which, you really need to play through 999 and Virtue/Reward in order to appreciate and or even understand what this game and the series as a whole is about. One issue with this game is that the game has a ton of cutscenes and not a lot of animation to go with that, so the game relies heavily on the voice actors' performances.
That was nothing.
The voice acting is kinda all over the place. Apart from one, who did a fantastic job with his performance, and that is DC Douglas, Zero himself. God, I love that man. This game is easily my least favorite entry in the series, but that's not saying much since 999 and VLR set the bar so high that it's hard to surpass it.
Why? Why did you do it? Murderer!
Oh, screw it! I'll just kill all of you!
You've returned, the only flesh and blood to walk between dimensions. Everything has clearly gotten out of hand now, yes. But it was purely for the betterment of mankind. They knew he would come, as he always had, as he always will, to feast on the blood of the wicked. Unbreakable, incorruptible, unyielding. Doom.
It's returned to form with the new Doom. No sprinting, no reloading, no regenerating health. Just good old bloody run-and-gun action. They've even brought back the classic gun placement. With barely any story in the way, killing of demons can commence. Everything in this game moves at a satisfyingly fast pace, including the brand new glory kills. The magic of the glory kills is in their style and speed. They don't break the flow of the combat. You shoot a bitch in the face, rip them apart, and keep going. To go along with this brutal action, the game has a pretty bitching soundtrack as well. I've always enjoyed how they revised the demon designs with each new game, while still keeping them feeling familiar and fitting to the universe. The Revenants look particularly sick in this version. The weapons have gone through the same treatment as well, bringing back classics such as Chainsaw, Super Shotgun and BFG, while adding few new toys to your arsenal. I was pleasantly surprised by the environments as well. There's a good amount of variation in your surroundings. You have the typical metallic USC corridors, lab areas, surface of Mars, Hell, as well as some snowy areas, the Argent Energy Tower, Foundry and so on. The level design is also worth praising. There's so many games that don't put a lot of effort into their world and level design, ending up making players not remember or even care about their surroundings. In Doom it's really rare that you need to pull out the map, and when you do, it's usually to help you find secrets in the environment, which there are a lot. Whether it be data logs, Argent cells, weapons, classic levels, Predator tokens, field drones, runes or vinyl figures. Finding these secrets and completing different mission challenges rewards the player, giving you upgrade points to spend on the weapons or yourself, making you even more powerful killing machine. You can also get temporary boost to abilities by picking up some of the classic power-ups scattered throughout the levels. Same power-ups can be found in the multiplayer maps, as well as demon runes that transform the player into a powerful demon to wreak havoc. There's few interesting game modes, but the multiplayer isn't really anything to write home about. The real selling points are the campaign and snap map. It's crazy what kind of things people manage to create with the tools given. Learning the tools takes a good while, but once you start properly understanding the logic behind logic chains, you have insane amount of freedom to create what you wish. I'm also really happy with the fact that they've added a bunch of free stuff to snap maps since the release of the game. Doom breaks out of the modern FPS mold in the best ways possible and packs a ton of content in the package it arrives in. If there's one flaw with Doom, it's that it's a one-trick pony. But it does that one trick extremely well.
Know what I love about partying with a bunch of crooks?
What's that?
Nobody cares if you're smoking indoors.
It's been a while.
When I heard Uncharted 4 was coming out, my initial reaction was, whatever, I don't care. I knew I was gonna play it at some point, but I wasn't excited in the least. When I ended up picking up the game and started playing it, holy shit was I blown away. Let me give you guys a brief history between me and the Uncharted games, just to let you know where I stand with the series. I've had my gripes with the Uncharted games in the past. I thought Uncharted 2 was best in show. Uncharted 1 was kinda hit and miss, but then again it was the first game. Uncharted 3, it was alright. However, after playing through Uncharted 4, I can easily say it's the best in the series. Just watching the opening credits gave me chills. Taking place several years after the events of Drake's deception, Nate has put his treasure hunting days behind him in exchange for a normal life. That is until his long-presumed dead brother Sam Drake steps into the picture. Now Nathan Drake has to go on one last adventure to save the ones he loves. I think Naughty Dog took all the right lessons from The Last of Us when making this game. They pretty much improved the game in every possible way while still having all the classic elements from all games, such as Nate's notebook, collectible treasures and so on. Gun combat has been improved immensely and it feels super satisfying, just like the melee combat. Climbing is still the same busy work of pressing X over and over again for the most part, but there's two new tools added to make the environmental traversal a bit more interesting and challenging. One is the piton, which can be used to climb on certain types of rock walls. Then there's the grappling hook. That thing is a total game changer. Sure, the way it works makes no sense, but when it comes to video games, if the thing you're doing is fun, I don't really care if it makes sense. And that's exactly what the grappling hook is. Insanely fun to use, not to mention using it to take down people. So satisfying. This time you're also allowed to use some vehicles to get around in some of the more massive environments. Just like with the previous games, Naughty Dog has once again set production values to the roof with this game. Watching the cutscenes is just pure joy, not only because they look really good, but they've also chosen a more mature tone for this chapter. The characters have actual adult conversations with each other, and that's something that completely pulled me in. Of course, you also gotta have the crazy set piece moments, and oh boy, this game has some of the greatest set piece moments in the series' history. If there's one department where I felt the game was lacking, it was the puzzles. Puzzles, puzzles, puzzles. You can pretty much count all the puzzles in this game with one hand, especially since some of the quote-unquote puzzles are so inconsequential that you can't even really call them that. That's something I've always been kind of disappointed with the series, but to make up for that, the game is filled to the brim with insane amount of stupid little details that a lot of other developers wouldn't even bother with. Metal bars bend when you hang from them, light passes realistically through hair and skin, characters adjust themselves to the size of the cover they're behind, their veins pop out depending on their physical exertion, gunslings and ropes actually work how they should, mud gets stuck on tires, etc, etc. I mean, just look at this. Clean gun, put it in the holster, slide down some mud, partly muddy gun. That is the level of detail we're talking with this game. The new camera mode they've included allows you to take a closer look at these details as well as save up your very own Kodak moments. Also, the bonuses that were missing in Uncharted 3 have been brought back. Tweaking the gameplay settings, costumes and how the game is rendered allows you to have some extra fun while replaying the game. The online play is surprisingly fun as well. The purchasable items, sidekicks and mysticals are a nice change of pace to the regular one-player run, climb and gun action. Not to mention the grappling hook. I'm telling ya, it's all about the grappling hook. Whether you're smacking people in the face with it, using it to get around the environment quickly, or using it to make a takedown from the skies. It's so good. You sometimes feel like goddamn Spider-Man swinging around the environment. Uncharted series has almost a 10-year legacy behind it, and you can feel the love that has gone towards this project. There's so many different moments that I would have loved to show in this video, but I can't, because I want people to have the chance to experience this game for themselves. It's not necessary to play all the other Uncharted games before this, but I feel it allows you to appreciate this game more if you do. Uncharted 4: A Thief's End is a technical marvel that pushes the boundaries of cinematic storytelling in video games, and it acts as the best possible conclusion to the series.
The biggest pirate treasure of all time is within our grasp.
How long have we been chasing this thing, huh? You and me.
You're a gamer, aren't you? My name is Uncle Death. This game, let it die.
Justice reigns from above!
Pass into the iris.
You probably think I'm mad. What do we do when we fail? We start over.
Never thought I'd see this day. It was a long, hard, rocky road, but The Last Guardian is finally out. And as it was with its predecessors, this game has some rough corners. I'm gonna get one thing out of the way immediately. This is not a perfect game. This game has some glaring issues, but then again, so did Shadow of the Colossus, and that is regarded as one of the greatest games ever released. And it's one of my favorite games of all time. The minor annoyances this game has didn't take away from my enjoyment of the game. These Team Ico games have such unique, captivating worlds and charm that you're willing to look past some of the flaws. This game is filled with such innocent, childlike wonder that captures your imagination. It's a game with a lot of heart. It's about adventure, trust, and friendship. It feels like a game from a bygone era, and that, as contradictory as it may sound, is a nice breath of fresh air. You really don't see these kind of puzzle platformers anymore. Remember how I said Uncharted 4 could have done a better job with its puzzles? Well, this game has a whole hell of a lot of them. The difficulty for these is really good as well. You might scratch your head for a moment with some of these puzzles, but they won't lock you in place for a long time. Most of the puzzles are pretty straightforward, but experimenting with the tools you have can offer easier or different types of solutions to the problems in your path. I found the environmental navigation to be really satisfying as well. I love the old school mentality of, you want to climb up this wall? Well, you gotta be willing to do some work to achieve that. There's actual challenge to the traversal of the world. It's not like Uncharted or Assassin's Creed where you just tap X over and over again and your character effortlessly keeps climbing upwards. There's a genuine sense of danger in climbing on things. And that same sense of danger can also come from simply being near Trico at times. Keep in mind, you're dealing with a huge wild animal. If you're not careful, you could get trampled by her, especially during combat. When you're climbing on Trico's back and hold on for dear life as she leaps over a giant chasm, it feels exhilarating and dangerous. And that is emphasized by the beautiful musical score, which is used sparingly through the game, accentuating some of the more dramatic moments. Another thing I find immensely satisfying is when your character is grounded to the world he is in. The character's animations carry weight. He reacts to objects and events around him. That is conveyed beautifully through the animations of the boy. The boy has these exaggerated and clumsy animations that give a sort of a cartoony look to the way he moves. The animation work in general is absolutely gorgeous in this game, especially with Trico, who feels like a real, living, breathing creature. The way she sniffs things, scratches herself, plays with dangling ropes and gets distracted by things. It's those kind of details that make this giant digital wonder feel believable. Trico is trying to simulate a real animal, and it does so extremely well. And the thing with animals is that they can be kind of frustrating at times. They don't always understand what you want, and then there's times when they won't necessarily listen to you. They have a mind of their own. And having been a pet owner myself, I guess I'm just willing to be more patient with that sort of stuff. I have to give a big hand for Sony for not abandoning this project. This game isn't gonna sell well, neither did Ico or Shadow of the Colossus, and releasing a game like this in the current gaming market is a ballsy move, not to mention making this kind of game. This game doesn't care about modern gaming conventions or worry about the competition it's going up against. It's trying to realize an artistic vision without having it being compromised, and I think that's admirable. The Last Guardian is an unforgettable tale that requires patience and emotional intelligence about the bond between man and beast in a mystical world of epic scale. It's a game unlike anything to arrive in a really long time, and it connected with me in a way that a lot of other games don't. And to me, that's the reason why this game was deserving of a Game of the Year award. So thank you Sony, thank you Team Ico, thank you Gen Design, and thank you Fumito Ueda for this magnificent game.
Agochi, Ajukui, Atis Nekatagi.